everyone, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to Do Space After School Club. My name is Kafaya. We're just gonna give it a few more seconds for the rest of our friends to join us for today, and then we're gonna dive right in. Okay. Hello again, my name is Kafaya, and this is Do Space After School Kid Coders Club. Hi, Sony Pants. Awesome. So what we're doing today is we're gonna pick up from where we left off last week. And for those of us that weren't here, last week we tried to complete the Cano Coding Create a Clicker Game challenge. So we went through most of the challenge, but we ran out of time and we couldn't do the ninth and the final part of the challenge. So that's what we're going to get to today. And once we're done with that, we're going to move on to our activity for today, which is making music with code on the Cano Coding website. And these are the challenges that we are going to complete. And yeah, I expect that we have a lot of fun with today's session because, hey, who doesn't like music and who doesn't like coding? Two of the best things in the world, right? Okay, so without further ado, we're going to complete the last part of our game, which is where we get to make the auto clicker work. And the awesome thing about this is we don't get to start from scratch because we're just building off of what we did last week. So the code's already there. We just need to add a few finishing touches to make it even awesomer. Okay, so finally, we are going to code the auto clicker to sell our tea automatically. So first, we're going to create an event for clicking the button. So I'm going to open the button to tray, and just like with the upgrade for when you want to purchase fancier tea than the one that you had before, we're going to do the same thing for purchasing our auto clicker. So just like with the upgrade, you need to use logic to check if the player can afford the auto clicker. And when we say logic, we mean the if statements. So I'm going to go in here and get my if statements. And here I'm going to change this to greater than. And back to my variables tray, I'm going to select the variable block and change this to money. Back again to my variables tray, I'm going to select another block and change this to clicker cost. So if money is greater than the clicker cost, we want to make sure that every 1 second our money I'm going to change this to cost. So make the speaker play a sound when the auto clicker clicks. I'm going to open my speaker tray and select the sound that we want. What sound do we want? We want the twip sound right here. Now, to subtract the cost of the auto clicker from the player's money, we need to open the math tray and select this block right here and change this from item to money. And now we're going to subtract from clicker cost. So we're going to subtract the clicker cost from the money that we have, and Then we get to multiply by 2. Okay, so it looks like our game is finished. That was all we needed to do. But another thing that's important that we need to do right now is to test our code to be sure that it works, right? And remember, before we can get the upgrade is only able to happen when we have enough money to do that. And before we can upgrade, we need to sell enough bubble teas to be able to afford the upgrade of $20. And so every time that I click, it means that I've sold a bubble tea. So I'm going to try to sell up to $20 worth or more. Okay, so now that I do that, I'm able to get an upgrade. And once I upgrade my tea, the price of my bubble tea is also going to upgrade. So now every time that I click, I get $1.05 every time. $1.50, my bad. Every time. Up until I'm able to afford my next upgrade, which is, and once I upgrade my tea, the price of my bubble tea also goes up. So now we're going to try to aim for our auto clicker. And the awesome thing about our auto clicker is that it saves us the stress of having to click by ourselves, right? So I'm going to try to get us to our auto clicker at least once, and so that we can go from there. Let's see. Okay, so now that we can afford our auto clicker, I'm going to select it, and now you can see my bubble tea is automatically selling by itself. And our tea is so upgraded that one bubble tea costs $35. And once we get to 640, we're able to upgrade again. And now, because our tea is more expensive, we make more money faster, and that way we're able to purchase more auto clickers. So yeah, that's that about this game. I hope that you guys get to play it at your own time, and you can let me know how it goes. So that takes us right onto our next challenge. No, we're not gonna watch the recap because we're already running out of time. So let me go back here, back to our challenges, just so that we can go into today's activity of making music. We have a quite long video that we have to watch for today. So what we're going to do is to hurry on along to this part. Give me a second. So let me make sure that we can all hear it. I think it's only fair that we watch the entire video for the full experience. I changed my mind. Awesome. So let's get right into it.
Hey there, so today we're going to be looking at making music using code. So let's just get started in Kano Code. There's a few different tools to make sound in Kano Code. These all live in the parts tray on the right. I'm just going to run you through the different ones available and show you how they work, and then we're going to put together a song. So let's get started with the speaker part. The speaker part is what you'll use if you want to play.
Am I still echoing?
Now you can click the sample and choose different ones to play, and if you click on them you can kind of test them out and see if you like them. So we can have a bass drum, or we can have a cymbal, or if you keep scrolling down we've got things like guitar notes. So I'm going to choose a sort of a ping sound, I think. So I've chosen a ping sound, and now I'm going to show you some of the other cool stuff you can do with a speaker. So the speaker also is this pitch setting. Pitch is like the tone of the sound. So we can turn it down and we can make the sound that we're playing lower, or we can turn it up.
Give me a second. Let me try to fix my echo, because I don't know what the problem is.
and we can make
What
it
about
higher.
now?
Because we're doing this with code, we can
Oh,
also put like a random
it's the
number in
video.
and then have the computer play a different pitch every time it plays a sound. And if we just, let's speed that up a bit. I'm just going to put in 0.5 seconds and maybe change this to 50 so you can always hear it. And maybe this up to 200. Well, there we go. We've got the computer playing a very simple song. It's just not a very good one, is it, really? You can also use this random sound effect block.
For this challenge, we're going to use the microphone part to code art that moves with our voice. Can you hear me now? We seem to be having a lot of technical errors today. Can you hear me now? Awesome. Okay, so we're going to dive right in. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So we're going to use the microphone part to code art that moves with our voice. So I'm going to dive right in. To animate your artwork, first you need a loop. So I'm going to go into our control tray to grab our good friend, the loop, and change seconds to milliseconds. And now we're going into our draw tray to start our drawing. And now we get to set a background color that looks like yellow, like orange. Okay. Next, we're going to draw, I believe, our face with a fill color of yellow. Let's see how bright I can go. Okay. So the next thing to do is to draw our circle, which would serve as our face with a radius of 200. Oh, I don't know where the echo is from. Interesting. Please just bear with me because I don't know where my echo is coming from. I don't even know why I have an echo. Okay. And what was I doing? Next, we're going to draw our eyes. And we're going to, okay, let me see what I can do to fix the echo. Now that I'm just talking, do you hear an echo? Or do you only hear the echo when I start the game? Or start the challenge, rather? Okay. have no idea where the echo is coming from. Oh. So it's definitely something to do with my mic, right? How do I fix that? This is weird. Okay. Let's just see what we can do and just try to complete our activity for today. I promise I wouldn't have an echo next week. Please bear with me. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the steps that I just canceled and get to drawing our face. I would keep my voice to a minimum so you guys don't have to deal with my echo for too long. This is just a disaster of a day. Even I am making errors now. What's happening? Change this to yellow. Okay. Let's just do this from scratch. It's not letting us start over. Okay. That's not the yellow I want. Okay. Okay. And now as you guys can see, I'm just following the instructions on the screen. I'm trying to reduce, I'm trying to keep my talking to a minimum because I know there's an echo, but I'm unable to trace the source of my echo. So please just bear with me. So now I'm changing my X position to 0 and my Y position is -100. Back to my draw tray, I'm going to select the I stamp and change the size from 100 to 200. Now back to my draw tray, I'm going to change X to 0 and Y to 200. And now my fill color for my mouth. This is about to be interesting because I'm about to do some talking. So it's going to be a double echo. Okay. So now I'm testing out my microphone. And every time that I talk, the mouth of my smiley face or my emoji, it gets bigger. So just like my mouth is big, the face of my emoji gets, the mouth is very reflective of the microphone. As you can see the sound waves. That's what happens when I talk. Okay. So enough of this. Let's go on to our next challenge. So this challenge is called Theremin. Theremin. A theremin is an old electronic synthesizer instrument that makes weird alien noises. Now try coding your own. So of course, I'm going to be following the steps as we can see them on the screen. First, we get to create a loop. So I'm going inside of my control tray, and every 1 millisecond, I want to start my drawing again. Inside of my draw tray, I'm going to set my background color to some kind of green. Yes. Next, I'm going to choose my positions. The instrument is going to be controlled using your finger or a mouse. So use the touch part button, and right here I'm going to add the touch button, and inside of my touch tray I'm going to use that for my y-axis movement. So now I'm going back inside of my variable tray. I'm going to select this block and set my strength. And now I'm going to change this to divide. Inside of my touch tray, I'm going to set my y-axis to work with my touch. So every time I go up and down, it depends on where I put my mouse. And now, here we are. So I'm back to my draw tray. And we're going to repeat the same steps, but this time with random values for our Y position. Strength. Back to my draw tray, I'm going to drag and set my color to orange. I choose orange, of course. So now back to my variables tray, I'm going to select a variable block and change that to strength. Back to my draw tray, I'm going to draw a line with this of 800 and 0. So to test this out, we're going to drag our mouse across, mouse or finger, depending on what you're using if you're doing this with me. And we're going to drag it across the screen and see how it shakes every time. Let me make this bigger for a better experience. See? Awesome. This is kind of cool, but it gets cooler when you add some sound to it, right? So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to add some sound to this. So now we're going to add our synth part. And inside of my variables tray, I'm going to select strength, of course. And now back to my synth tray, I'm going to ask it to start, my bad. So now I need to turn up my volume and turn up your volume so you can hear that. And every time that I move my mouse across the screen, it sounds like an alien invasion. Of that, we're going to move on to the next challenge. So that's that about making alien noises. Cool. So our next challenge is about sound waves. you can use the microphone part to see what sound waves look like. And to do that, so inside of my draw tray, I'm going to set my background color, of course, to black so we can see every sound. Next to my draw tray, I'm going to set my position and set X to 0 and Y to 300. Next, I'm going to go into my draw tray and select a fill color and make it a random value, a random color. So it's a surprise every time. Next, I'm going back into my draw tray and I'm going to set my transparency so I'm sure you guys can see my color from 100 to 40. So I'm going to open my control tray and get my good friend, the loop. And every 1 millisecond, I want it to draw an ellipse with the width of 1. And in my math tray, we're going to do some math and multiply my microphone sound. Okay. So my microphone volume is going to be multiplied by 3 every time to give me wait for it. So my X position is going to be 1 and my Y is going to be 0. So now every time that I talk, you can see the sound waves. This is very cool. It's very sad that I'm having an echo today, so you guys don't get to enjoy this experience. But every time that I restart, you can see that if I don't say anything, there's just no sound, so there's no waves. Let's try this one more time. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so let's see what we get to do next. We can use a second loop to reset the wave so that we don't have to refresh every time to see the sound waves go. So we're going to go into our control tray to grab our loop. And every 4 seconds, we want a repeat of what we have in for the first one, right? So I'm going to change my Y position to 300. Back to my draw tray, I'm going to choose random values for my fill color. And now, let's do this. As you can see, we don't have to hit refresh. The sound waves just go on top of each other. And you can see if or not I make any noise. Awesome. So here we are. This is how you make sound waves with code. And your microphone, of course. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our final challenge for the day. And this doesn't need me to do any talking as much as it needs me to do clicking. So we're going to use our events and parts to build a soundboard to trigger fun sounds using buttons. So the first step is to go into our draw tray and, of course, set our background color. And you need to add a button to activate the sounds. Add a button part using the add parts button. So this is me adding my button. And now I'm going to tell my button where to move to. 200, and my Y value would be 300. So now it is centered on the page. The next thing I want to do is to increase the size of my button to 150, and back to my button, I want to change the text from click me to air horn. Oops. I want my button to make the sound of a air horn every time that I click on it. So let me change the color of my button to purple. And now I'm going to tell my button what to do when I click on it. So I'm going to put some code behind my button. So right here, I'm going to add the speaker part. And every time that I click on my button, it gives me the sound of an air horn. You guessed it right. Next, I'm going to click on the button to see if it actually works. A big part of programming is testing out your code. So here we go. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next part. We're going to do the same. We're going to repeat the same process, but for a bell this time. So I'm going to start by adding a button, of course. And inside of that button tray, I'm going to give the button a position. And I want it to move to the X position of 600 and the Y, and the Y position of 300, just so it's on the same line with the other button. The next thing to do is to increase the size to 150. And next we're going to change the label. And this is going to be, give me a second. And this is going to be named Bell. So we get to hear bell sounds every time that we click on this new button. And next we're going to change our color of our button to this one. Yes. Next we're going to tell our button what to do every time we click. We want it to play a bell sound. Awesome. So that is complete. And now we get to test out our code. So when I click on my bell, and when I click on my bell, awesome. So yeah, that brings us to what I believe is the end of this challenge. Okay. Well, I apologize for the technical difficulties and why we're not able to watch the video that we have planned for today. But yeah, so that's it. We completed the challenges. I'm just going to go ahead and try to play the video.
Hey there. So today we're going to be looking at
time.
making music using code. So let's just get started in Kano Code. There's a few different tools to make sound in Kano Code. These all live in the parts tray on the right. I'm just going to run you through the different ones available and show you how they work, and then we're going to put together a song. So let's get started with the speaker part. The speaker part is what you'll use if you want to play sound effects, like animal noises or drums or sort of loops. Let's have a look what it can do. So first I'm going to put down a loop, and let's do every 1 second. Then let's open up the speaker tray. So we get the first block is just a simple play sound. So as you can see, it's playing the sample every second because we've got it in a loop. Now you can click the sample and choose different ones to play, and if you click on them, you can kind of test them out and see if you like them. So we can have a bass drum, or we can have a cymbal, or if you keep scrolling down, we've got things like guitar notes. So I'm going to choose a sort of a ping sound, I think. So I've chosen a ping sound, and now I'm going to show you some of the other cool stuff you can do with a speaker. So the speaker also has is this pitch setting. Pitch is like the tone of the sound. So we can turn it down and we can make the sound that we're playing lower, or we can turn it up and we can make it higher. Because we're doing this with code, we can also put like a random number in and then have the computer play a different pitch every time it plays a sound. And if we just, let's speed that up a bit. I'm just going to put in 0.5 seconds and maybe change this to 50 so you can always hear it. And maybe this up to 200. Well, there we go. We've got the computer playing a very simple song. It's just not a very good one, is it, really? You can also use this random sound effect block. And if we plug that in, now we have random sounds playing at random pitches. Another cool thing you can do with a speaker is play a loop. So if we just open up the speaker tray again, drag in the speaker loop block. Now, as you can see, it's playing this sample over and over. If you click on the sample picker, and then there's a special loop section in the samples. So all the ones in here are designed to be looped. So let's just choose this mountain one, and you can hear it's like actually more of a song. It's not an instrument. It's actually like a background sound. So you can, if you want to have some music in your creations, you can use this as an easy way to add some music. Right. I'm just going to throw that in the bin as well. And then let's move on to the next part. So the next part we're going to look at is the synth part. So let's just open up the add parts window again, and we will select synth, which is in the middle here. It's called the synth part, which is short for synthesizer, which is a type of instrument that makes sound just using the power of maths. So we're going to need something to control this. So I'm going to add in a slider as well. So we'll just open the add parts window again and select slider. Now, we're also going to need a loop so we can change the instrument while it's playing. So I'm just going to open the control tray and grab in a loop and set that to from seconds to milliseconds. So let's turn the synth on. So if we open the synth tray and drag out synth start, and I'm just going to put that under my loop, you'll hear it's playing, it's making noise, but it doesn't sound very good. It's just like playing the same note over and over. So let's code it so it'll change the actual notes it's playing. So if we open up the synth tray and get synth pitch and put that in the loop, and then we'll get the value of our slider. So open the slider tray, grab the slider value and attach that into the synth pitch. So then if we go over to the canvas and drag our slider, you can see that it changes the pitch of the synthesizer and kind of makes weird sounding noises. You can also change the type of wave the synthesizer uses, which will make it sound different. So if we just open up the synth tray again and drag in the synth wave block, the normal one is a sine wave. There's also a square wave that sounds like an annoying buzzer, I guess. There's also sawtooth. And finally, triangle. So I'm just going to drag these to the trash to get rid of that code. The next part we're going to look at is the text-to-speech part. It's a really fun part. It gives your computer the ability to speak and say anything you want it to. So let's open the add parts window again and then select text-to-speech here on the right. Let's open the text-to-speech tray, and there's only one block in there. This is a text-to-speech say block, which will make the computer say anything it says at the top here. So if we change this to
how are you?
And there you go, it asks, how are you? We can also change the speed of how it speaks. So let's change this up to maybe
how are you?
150. It's very fast. I'm just going to press the restart button.
How are you? How are you?
Very, very fast. We can also make it speak slowly.
How are you?
Makes the computer sound it's a bit tired, maybe. Finally, we can also change the accent it uses. So we've got it on British English at the minute. Let's change it to US.
How are you?
Or French.
How are you?
German.
Who are you?
And finally, Italian.
How are you?
So there's a lot of fun you can have with this part. You can have it so your computer can tell a joke, or maybe a poem, or maybe read the weather out to you. Now you've seen the different sound parts. Let's put them together and use them to make a song. Now for that, we'll need one more part, and that's the sequencer part. So I'm going to add the sequencer. So if we open the add parts window again, and here it is on the bottom left. So, and then I'm going to open the sequencer tray and drag in a sequencer. The sequencer is a powerful part. It's like a conductor for your song, so I'm going to use it to control all the different parts and tell them what to do when. So on its own, the sequencer doesn't actually do anything. We need to put things inside it for it to activate. So I'm going to open the speaker tray and drag out a play block and put that inside it. And I'm going to choose a mid-tom sound effect. So now we've got a sound effect inside it. Let's turn some of these squares on and you'll see how it works. So every time playhead hits the selected squares, it'll run all the code inside it. So if we fill in more of them, you get more of a beat. Now, we can use multiple of these to build up a song. So let's drag out another one. And then I'm going to drag out another speaker play. So if we go into here and we click on hand clap, then we can turn on the squares in this sequencer. And you'll see they're both working together to sort of make something that starts to sound like a song. So let's drag out another sequencer and add another speaker play block. So because we're making music with code, we can make it so the music changes as it's played. So I'm going to go in the speaker tray again, and we're just going to grab this block at the bottom, which is the random sample block, and plug that into the third sequencer. Now if we put some notes in here, so you can see that every time it plays on that sequencer, it actually plays a different sample, and now it's kind of sort of starting to sound a bit like a song. It's a bit of a strange song, but I think it is kind of sounding like a song. No song would be complete without lyrics. So I'm going to turn my sequencers off for now, and then we're going to add some lyrics. So if we open up the variables tray and grab the set item block, and let's click on item and say create variable. Now I'm going to call this variable lyrics and confirm. So if we just had one lyric, it would be a pretty boring song. So I'm going to use a list to add a few different lyrics. So if we just open the list tray and drag out create list. So let's open the variables tray again, and then we're going to use this text block here. So let's drag out 3 of those. And I'm going to write our lyric, which will be music made with code. So I'm going to add a final sequencer to sing our lyrics. So I'm going to open the sequencer tray again and drag in a sequencer. We're going to use the text-to-speech part we added earlier to say our lyrics. So if we open the text-to-speech tray and drag out the say block, I'm just going to turn on one of the squares. You'll see it'll say the lyric every time the playhead hits that box.
Hello.
So I'm just going to turn that off for a second. Now, all our lyrics are stored in a list, and we need to get them out of the list if we want the text-to-speech to sing the lyric. So I'm just going to open up the list tray again, and there's this in-list get block, which will pull the lyrics out of the list for us to use. So I'm just going to drag that in and connect it to the speech say block. Now, we need to tell it which list we're going to use. So let's open up the variables tray, and then we'll get the variable block, which is at the bottom here, and then we put that inside the list get block and select our list, which is lyrics. And we don't want to get, we want to get like different lyrics every time. So let's click on the number, and then there's this option at the bottom here, random. So this will get a random lyric from our list of lyrics, and it'll get the text speech to say it. So, okay, let's turn that on.
Made with music code.
So as you can see, every time it runs,
Made
it gets a different lyric. So it's going to sing a different lyric every time.
Music.
Now, if we turn on all our sequencers, you'll start to see we've kind of made a song here.
Made with code. Music. Made with.
So there we go. We've got the song, we've got the music, and we've got the lyrics and the beat going on. So the last thing it maybe needs is some visuals. So I'll just turn the sequencers off for a second. The cool thing about the sequencer part is it'll run any code you put inside it. So let's use it to make kind of some visuals to go along with our song. So I'm going to open the draw tray and drag out a set background color block, and I'm going to put it in this first sequencer. I'm just going to shift that one out of the way, and this one too. And then if we go into the color tray and drag out a random color, so you'll see when we turn this sequencer back on, it won't just play a sound, it'll also change the background color. Now, I think it'd be cool if we add the actual lyrics on the screen as well. So I'm just going to add a text part. So we have the text, it's a bit small. So if we go into the text tray and then we set the scale, I'm just going to put that up here at the beginning of my code and change that to 300. Yeah, that's about right. Now I want my text to say the lyric that's currently being sung by the computer. So I think we're going to need another variable. So if I just open the variables tray again and grab out set item, I'm going to put it in here above my text-to-speech say block, and I'm going to go and create a new variable, and I'm going to call this next lyric we need to set this as a lyric from our list. I'm going to take our in-list get block and I'm going to plug that into our new variable. And then to change the text, I'm just going to open the text tray, get this text value block, and plug that in under our text-to-speech say. Now I want the say block and the text value block to say the same thing. So I'm going to get another variable item, and I'm going to plug that into both of them, and then set that to next lyric. Now if we just turn this sequencer on,
Music. Made with.
you'll see because we're using the same variable,
Music.
it says the word and also shows the word. Now let's turn all the other sequences on and get the full effect.
Music. Made with. Made with. Music. Code.
So there you have it. That's music made with code.